Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing you some spoiler coverage for Vingolf 3, our last kind of round of spoilers for this set until we get to see the rest of them when the set releases. And today we are looking at bringing back Valhalla creatures, rulers from the Valhalla block, which we never got. Now they're suddenly here as resonators, and there's lots of pretty interesting stuff. So we're going to go ahead and dig right in. So first up we have Dragon Knight Commander Siegfried, 3-drop 7/7. He's a Dragon Knight. When he enters your field, recover all dragons you control, and he gains +6/+6 and flying as long as you control the dragon. Most notably why this is important is for the untaps, but notably that if you control one of the new dragon rulers from Vingolf as your ruler, they are dragons, so he is just a straight 3-drop 13/13 with swift flying, which is just crazy. And you can potentially untap your dragon ruler and then judgment it the same turn based on how much will you have available, which is pretty interesting, I think, as well. Next up we have Sol, the Envoy of Light. He is a 2-drop 4/4. When this card enters your field, reveal the top card of your Magic Stone deck. If he's a non-special light Magic Stone, put it into your field. So, important to note that he is a spirit, but I know what you're all thinking. This is essentially Gretel for Millium, which I think is pretty dang cool, especially since he's playing all basic stones. You could potentially drop this guy turn 1 with an Energize, get a second stone, and put something else on the field, or have backup for him with that one Open Will, which I think is really cool. So this is definitely good for Millium. Then we have the Nightlord of Godspeed, 5-drop 10/10 with swiftness, and when he enters your fields, J/resonators you control, including himself, gain precision until the end of the turn. So he comes in, he's a big dude, all your stuff can attack anything that they want, including himself, and you can just go nuts. So pretty strong card there, pretty impactful card there when he's played. Then we have Barust, the Machine Deity of Purgatory, 1-drop 0/10. He gains +2/+2 for every Magic Stone in all graveyards. You can tap and banish a Magic Stone. This card deals 500 damage to something, and you can tap him and banish 2 Magic Stones to destroy target special Magic Stone. So this is very interesting. The fact that we have these ways to destroy Magic Stones again, but there is a pretty heavy cost for yourself. But technically, if you were to do this, he would suddenly turn into a 6/7 if you successfully pop something. And they don't have to be recovered, so you can produce something, play something, and then tap him and pop, which I think is pretty interesting here. Next up, we have Shimadzu Ushiro, the Feudal Flame Lord. He is a 3-drop 8/8 Daimyo. He's got swiftness, and whenever a J/resonator you control, including himself, is blocked, you destroy it and the blocking J/resonator. So this is essentially the explode mechanic from Valhalla brought back. So this is very interesting, especially with tokens. If they go to block the token, or you force a block against a token, suddenly you got some real good stuff. So this guy with Gleipnir could be potentially very good. Next up we have Salamander, the Envoy of Flame, 4-drop 6/6. When he enters your field, he does 6 damage to your target opponent and target resonator your opponent controls. So he burns something for 6, he hits your opponent for 6, and he is a 6/6. So 4 cost he gets a lot done for 4 cost, but he is kind of vulnerable. So with only being a 6/6 stat, I think it kind of balances him out there. Next up we have Chronos, the God of Time, 4-drop 0/10 myth. At the beginning of your turn, you draw a card. So as long as he survives, you get to draw an extra card per turn. I don't really care about this guy much, honestly. There's not a lot I think that's going to be really relevant to use him, just because he costs so much and he doesn't do anything outside of just drawing 1 extra card a turn. He feels kind of too expensive to make that relevant. Next up we have Tomoe Gozen, the Merciful Aqua Twin Swords, 2-drop 5/6, that has 2 awakenings for the same effect. You can awaken for 3 and bounce 1 resonator your opponent controls, target resonator to its owner's hand, or you can pay 4 and bounce 2. But it's 2 separate, which I think is very interesting here, as opposed to like the old having to target 2 things. So like you could potentially magic rebound one of her abilities, which I think is actually relevant. Then we have Nymph, Envoy of Water, 4-drop 7/12 with flying. So kind of like our only vanilla so far from this set of spoilers. Then we have Frigg, the Goddess of Abundant Harvests, 5-drop 8/8. When a card enters your field, put up to 1 target resonator, up to 1 target addition, and up to 1 target chant from your graveyard into your hand. So her stats aren't great, but she essentially just gets to let you refill your hand with 3 cards when you play her. So I honestly think that is very, very good, especially for control decks. Slam a creature, when you have a ton of open whale, suddenly you have a handful of stuff again. They're pretty good in my opinion. Next up we have Oberon, the Lord of Elves, 4-drop 7/7 that gets you 3 1/1 elf tokens when he comes into play. So pretty standard, just slam, suddenly you have a bunch of elves. Makes total sense for Oberon. Sylph, the Envoy of Wind, 2-drop 6/6, who has Resonance, Wind Magic Stone, recover this card. Very glad he doesn't have flying, but I think this is pretty cool. So you can swing, call for stone for the turn, get a wind stone, recover it. Lots of other cool stuff. And then with Wind Magic Stone, if you're playing the Wind Dragon, then he would be able to tap for will as well, which I think is definitely very interesting, being able to kind of multiple tap if you hit it that way. Next up we have Sariel, the Lord of the Moons, 4-drop 6/8, who has the ability of pay black, tap him, and banish another resonator. Put target resonator from your graveyard into your field, and thank goodness this ability can only be played during your turn. So he has to stick on the field for an entire turn to be able to use this, because you can't just like go into your opponent's turn and jam it, which I think is very, very balanced. But having this kind of recursion, repeatable recursion in the body with an 800 defense is pretty solid. Definitely for darkness controls and stuff like that. If you want to keep bringing back huge beaters, I think this is really cool. Next up we have Shade, Envoy of Darkness, who is probably my personal favorite card from this spoiler. He's a 2-drop 6/4 Spirit. Tap, banish this card. He deals 600 damage to target J/Resonator, and you gain life. And then he has Resonance, Darkness Magic Stone. You pay 3 black. If you do, put it in your hand from your graveyard, so he kind of keeps recurring himself. The fact that he just can tap and immediately ping something for 6 that's J/Res with the lifelink, I think is very relevant. I think this card is a phenomenal boost to darkness control matches, and like you're thinking like stealth and stuff, this is an excellent addition for like stealth mechanic, being able to play it and then kill something like a lance or something like that, get some life back, and then kind of repeat him as needed. Pretty cool. Loki, Being of the End, 2-drop 5/1. He gains an extra 100 defense for each card in your graveyard, and he gains flying and lifelink if you have 10 or more cards in your graveyard. So, not too bad. He essentially just will constantly get you 5 life the more cards, if you get to 10 cards in your graveyard, which in my opinion is pretty balanced, and he becomes a terrifyingly big blocker as the game goes on and on. Next up we have lastly, Odin the Omniscient, 6-drop 10/10, 1 green, 1 black, 4 colorless. If you would produce will with a magic stone you control, you produce that will plus 1 of the same kind as another will produced this way. So this is very important. In the Force of Will article, it's misstated. He talks about using Yggdrasil to produce 2 and then produce an additional. That's not how Odin works. Odin says here it has to be produced with a magic stone, so your mana dorks will not produce extra, just your magic stones. But if you can get to a point in a control match where you have tons of stones up, you can just jam this guy and go way ahead of your opponent, that can be potentially very, very powerful. And a 10/10 stat is nothing to shake a stick at, so pretty cool overall. Like I said, this bad boy is probably my favorite, but let me know what you guys think in the comment sections down below. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and be on the lookout for next week when I open up some Vingolf stuff to see what our new other cards we don't know about and what our new reprints are. So until then, this is DMO73 signing off.